Today we're going to talk about bibliographies, about referencing and avoiding plagiarism. By now you all know what plagiarism is, and there's more information on the Board of Studies website about that. You'll also remember that when you were in Year 10 we talked about plagiarism when you completed the HSC All My Own Work course. There are various ways that teachers know if you plagiarise. One of the most important ways that we can discern if you plagiarise is by checking your bibliography, and that's why it's very important that you submit a correctly formatted bibliography with your work. Avoiding plagiarism is easy. All you need to do to avoid it is to acknowledge the source of all the information that you use in a task that is not your own, and that is called referencing. There are various systems of referencing used in schools and universities around the world. At St. Joseph's we use one called the Harvard system, which you may also use when you go to university. There are 3 steps to referencing. The first one is to keep records of every resource that you use: journal articles, websites, books, YouTubes, so on. The second step, if asked for by your teacher, is to create an in-text reference. See your teacher for further information on this. And the third step is to provide your reference list or bibliography at the end of your work. If your teacher has asked you to in-text reference, this is how you would go about that. You would place a brief reference in the text of your assignment. It's a name and a date in brackets. The name is the name of the author or the website, and the date is the year the book was published or the year the website was last updated. So an in-text reference would look something like these 2 examples. In-text referencing can happen within a sentence, like this, where Johnson is the name of the person who wrote the information, or you can put the in-text reference at the end of a sentence. If you use a direct quote, you also have to add the page number if that has come from a book. When you in-text reference from the internet, simply use the author's name if it is available. If not, use the name of the organisation responsible for the website, and you always use the date the website was revised or created. So our example here is some information about the Romanov rule of Russia, and that came from a website called BBC History, and it was last updated in 2011. Indirect evidence is tricky, but if you are using a reference quoted by another author, you need to use the word in or the phrase cited in. So if you're reading a book by a person called Smith and they are quoting somebody called Brown, you would say Brown cited in Smith, 95, and so on. Or you can put the whole thing in brackets like this example here. Then in your reference list, you provide the details of the author who did the citing, so Smith in this instance. Come and see Mrs. Powers in the library for extra help on this. Referencing images is very easy. They need 3 things. They need a number, a label, and a reference. So this picture here of Eastern Front prisoners has the number figure 1. It has the label Eastern Front prisoners, and then the reference is the website it came from and the year. You can choose what numbering system to give your images. You can call them Table 1, Table 2, Figure 1, Figure 2, and you can also choose the label that you give them. And then of course you will put the detailed reference for that image in your bibliography. The last step is to provide your bibliography, and you should know this quite well by now. There is a slight difference between a reference list and a bibliography. A bibliography is a list of everything you've used to gather information for your assignment, even if you don't refer to it in your in-text referencing. A reference list is only those things that you have actually referred to in your assignment. Unless your teacher specifies, it's acceptable to provide either a bibliography or a reference list at the end of your assignment. When you do complete your bibliography, remember to start on a separate page, arrange your references in alphabetical order by the first word, ignore a, an or the, and don't divide the list into different types of resources. This is an example of what a bibliography should look like. There are no dot points, it's in alphabetical order, it's not divided, and it is correctly formatted. To correctly format the bibliography, you need to use the online bibliography maker, and that's available on the homepage of Destiny. There's further information available from these places.